Anugerah Kebudayaan Indonesia 2024, kategori Lembaga dan Perorangan Asing. Dikenal sebagai seniman, komposer, pengajar, peneliti, pemain suling, dan aktivis musik gamelan hibrida yang aktif mempopulerkan seni budaya Indonesia di berbagai kota di Kanada dan luar Kanada. Melalui Evergreen Club Contemporary Gamelan (ECGC), Andrew Timar mengeksplorasi berbagai ragam genre yang ditampilkan dalam berbagai seni pertunjukan, film, dan musik, sehingga lebih banyak orang yang mengenal dan mengetahui Indonesia melalui gamelan.
Been doing this now for 40 years, so he's very well known in the classical music scene in Toronto and also across Canada.
Andrew is an incredibly focused Indonesian profile. He loves Indonesian music and culture and has been involved in
listening to LPs and then cassettes of Indonesian music, different kinds of traditional Indonesian music that was available here in Toronto. And then in 1983, a friend of mine, a music colleague, after college, after university, started a gamelan dugung group here in Toronto. He had the crazy idea of starting a group of Canadian musicians playing on gamelan dugung instruments and performing music that we composed and that we have adapted from the dugung classic repertoire. And one of the first pieces that I composed for that group, which was called the Evergreen Club Gamelan, was this piece right here, It's called North of Java. So that I thought, Toronto is north of Java, so that was an appropriate name. So this is a piece that I composed, one of the first pieces in Canada for gamelan. And in fact, the Evergreen Club Gamelan was the first gamelan in all of Canada. So we were kind of pioneers of that field.
And when I was a student in university at U of T, the University of Toronto, we used to come to your concerts to hear some of the new, both the traditional Indonesian music you were playing, and also we would hear some of the new compositions that you guys would commission Canadian composers to do. So that was a really cool thing for us. We'd be going to the music gallery and places like that to hear you guys play.
Yeah, so we were kind of pioneers.
Yeah.
Early days. That now 42 years later, here we are. Well, that was a huge milestone in my career. I received the Anugerah Kebudayaan Award, which is right there on the table. That's the certificate. Yeah, in Jakarta in last September 2024. And that was a long journey to get there. It's in recognition of my 41 years of contribution to the field, pioneering all kinds of gamelan and related Indonesian music studies and performance in Canada. In addition to my work with Evergreen Club, of which I was the second artistic director, and the Juru Suling, the Suling soloist. You see some of my instruments here in front of us. I'm still playing with Evergreen Club all these years later, and still playing Suling mostly. And in addition to my performances, I also composed, as I mentioned. There's one of my first work for gamelan. And then in the late 90s, I started teaching gamelan as a performance course. First, as a professor at York University in Toronto. And that was a course, Kerawitan Jawa, so South Central Javanese traditional gamelan music. I taught that course for a few years. And then I was, the following year, in 2000, I was hired to start a gamelan program for the Toronto District School Board, Canada's largest school board. Now close to 500 schools in the district. And I was tasked with introducing gamelan music, Javanese gamelan music, across the school board. So that was an 8-year project, and I believe it's still going now, 25 years later, so that's a big accomplishment. And I've taught also many other places gamelan music at the Royal Conservatory of Music in Toronto, and also Toronto Symphony Orchestra hired me for 2 years to train some of their musicians on gamelan music for use in schools, and so on and so forth. I've done many other schools and independent schools.
Oh, well, it was extraordinary. I mean, it's nice to, when someone like Andrew's throwing his passion and his love for no fame or anything, not for the recognition, for the love of the music, for the love of the art, and also to pass it on. As I said, I got to play as well and learn from people like Andrew. It's kind of a little miracle when it's recognized like that. But after 40 years of only doing it for the love of the music, for the love of the culture, for the love of the connections, there's also I've accompanied Andrew a lot to events at the consulate, just the Indonesian consulate, different events that they'll have there where you can taste the food and sometimes buy new clothing, right, batik. So we've, just for the love of the community and of the sound of the music and the joy of the instruments, which is huge. To be recognized by the homeland of where this music comes from is a really special honor.
Well, after 40 plus years, I think if one were to think of impact, I hope it's my work with students, because when I was working for 8 years rolling out the gamelan, it was a Javanese Kerawitan based program. The school board paid me to purchase 3 complete sets, so they are moving itinerant, moving around the school board among the different schools. So when I was involved, it was in over 80 schools. Now it's probably easily double, and that way it touched tens of thousands of students. The impact is through education. I think that's very important. It was part of my mission for a number of years at York University. Of course, university classes are much smaller. And then too, through our recordings, both legacy media, like our first album, which I didn't bring, I should have. It's called North of Java After My Peace. It's an LP. Mm-hmm. So it's the first gamelan LP in Canada. So through our CDs, the Evergreen Club CDs and my CDs with other performers, over 20, I think. So, and now, of course, through online media, through videos and YouTube and so on. Hopefully it reaches somebody.
I mean, there's other impacts that, for example, I saw some once students, now mature musicians, mentoring with the Evergreen Club Gamelan, because they're a group that really become a foundation in contemporary music in Canada.
Third generation students now are becoming professionals.
Right. So those who really take to this music for some whatever reason, like me, resonate, and as percussionists, they're great musicians, so they tip to it. A lot of these people have now gone to Indonesia. Like me, when I finally got to go to Indonesia, I wouldn't have if I didn't have the music. It was from hearing Evergreen Club, it was from hearing you and getting a chance to play in a gamelan ensemble, and then the gamelan ensemble, you bringing artists over here like Panano, like Iwan as well.
Many others.
Many. Then it brings Indonesia to me. Enough for me to imagine there's a whole world of music and culture that I don't know, but it gives me access.
I wasn't born in Canada. I was born in Hungary. So I'm a European-born person. I grew up and lived all my life in Canada. And my artistic wings are in Indonesia. So I consider myself tricontinental. Tiga. So that's part of who I am. And it's easier in Toronto than in many other places, because in Toronto we're all very proud of the fact that we're a very multicultural city, etc., etc. But to answer your question, how? I think number one is join a group. It's very Indonesian. You don't really play suling unless you're in a party somewhere or by yourself in a performance. You always have, it's part of a group. That's very important. Number two, get involved and keep involved. So get involved in the group and keep involved, whatever you choose, whatever that group is, whether it's a rock group, whether it's some kind of gamelan group, doesn't matter. Get involved and keep involved, because that's part of the secret, I think. That continuity. That's the only way I could get Aki to be
stay.
To be considered, because that involvement takes time and it's over years. So keep involved. Number three, make it your own. What does that mean? Like I mentioned about suling is my voice. So it's my voice. Nobody else has my voice. Only I can speak for myself. And last one, find your passion. So, because, without the passion, it's kind of hollow.
How the music of Indonesia, I'm speaking of the traditional music and particularly gamelan and writers like Panano, how that affects me. I hear it as extremely beautiful, extremely soothing, extremely energizing. So, and I have Canadian ears and I grew up with Western music. So I think that it's important to not think that we can't hear it just because it's not from this country. So if anyone, and also I'd say if there's any Indonesians, just students of anything or adults in any career who just want to learn gamelan and come back to that music, to look for the Evergreen Club, look for the meetups, look for Array Music's gamelan meetups, and come, because we just need more people to be coming and playing it. It is a social instrument because it is a group of instruments. We need people to come together. And and so I would say if you have access to that music, or it's in your memory, or it's in your parents' memory, bring it, play it, come. More of us probably than you think, us meaning Western-based people, it speaks to our hearts too, There's a particular brilliance to Indonesian music that I'm hearing. I know I'm being very general and I'm speaking the gamelan Sundanese music that I've gotten really used to. It's very intricate and very But it touches us in Canada, it'll touch people in America. You don't have to do American music to touch people in America.
Sampai jumpa, sahabat Salam Indonesia.
Pas ngambil dari itu Pak, pura-pura ngambil tambahin itu Pak, di shirt itu.
Nanti ya kita bikin sendiri.
Aku punya itu. Aku
Nanti
bahkan
aku
punya
bikin
itu.
khusus ini pas bikin obrada, bikin lagi mau. Jarut. Nggak usah.
Indonesia's rich culinary traditions were put in the spotlight today at Young and Dundas Square for the Indonesian Food Festival.
Inilah Bromo, Tengger, Semeru. Sambutlah matahari terbit dari Pulau Jawa, menikmati keindahan alam yang begitu megah dan kokoh. Candi Borobudur, matahari terbitnya memberikan pemandangan indah Gunung Merapi, Gunung Merbabu, dan hamparan sawah yang berselimut kabut.